In Timeline Inventions, you get 109 cards and an instruction manual. In Timeline Invention, each card is double-sided. One side has a picture of the event, structure, invention, whatever, in history, and the name of it. On the other side, it also has a picture and the name of it, but it also has a date. Each date has a different color, and it corresponds to a theme. So yellow would be discoveries. So the asteroid was discovered in 1801. If the date is in a blue border, then it is an invention. If it is in a green border, it is music. If it is in a pink border, it is art and literature. If it is a white border, then it would be monuments. And finally, if it is a red border, it would be historical events. But I don't have any in my deck. I looked through it twice, could not find one. To set up for Timeline Inventions, you will first deal a specific number of cards to each player with the date side down. So in a 2 to 3 player game, it is 6 cards per player. In a 4 to 5 player game, it is 5 cards per player. And finally, in a 6 to 8 player game, it is 4 cards to each player. Next, you will place the remaining of the deck with the date side down in the center of the table within easy reach of everybody. And finally, you will draw the top card, flip it over so the date side's up, and place it in the center of the table. To play Timeline Inventions, the first player is the youngest, as stated in the rules. So that player will choose a card to play. They will say where they think the invention or building or whatnot on the card was invented or discovered. They place that down where they think it was made or discovered. So in this case, the player is saying that the encyclopedia was made after the brick. They then flip the card over, face side up, and compare whether or not they are correct with the card they flipped over and the card in the center of the table. So in this case, the encyclopedia was invented after the brick, which was in 7000 BC. The encyclopedia was invented in 1751. The next player chooses the card they wish to play and puts it in the order they think it will go. So they think the nautical asteroid was made before the encyclopedia but after the brick. You would then slide the card over, put it where you think it is in the timeline, then flip it over to see if you are correct. And in this case, the player is. Now, if a player chooses incorrectly, they will discard their card and draw a new one from the draw pile. This will go on until one player has correctly placed their last card. That player wins. Okay, so the rules state the youngest player will go first. That'll be Jen. And she has drawn friction matches, the safe, the ballpoint pen, the typewriter, the Celsius scale, and the pull tab can. Now I have drawn the Statue of Liberty, Dynamite, the Lord of the Rings first volume, garbage bags, the stethoscope, and finally satellites, Sputnik. So the first card out is Empire State Building, and it was made in 1931. So Jen will go first, and she's going to say that the typewriter was made before the Empire State Building, and she would be correct. It was in 1873 it was made. Comes over to me. I'm going to say Sputnik was after the Empire State Building, and I would be correct. It was in 1957. Goes back to Jen. Jen is going to say that the safe was made before the typewriter, and she would be correct. It was made in 1844. Over to me. I am going to say that the Lord of the Rings first volume was made between the Empire State Building and Sputnik, and I would be correct. It was made in 1954. I'm sorry, it was written in 1954. So then Jen will be up, and she's going to say friction matches were made before the safe, and she would be right. They were in 1827. Comes back to me. I am going to say that the Statue of Liberty was made after 1873. That would be right. It was in 1886. Goes back to Jen. She's going to say that the ballpoint pen was made before the Empire State Building, but after the Statue of Liberty. And she would be wrong. Huh. I thought it was made earlier than that. So she discards that card and draws a new one. And she draws the barometer. Comes back to me. I'm going to say dynamite was made before friction matches, and I would be wrong. Okay, so I draw the can opener. Goes back to Jen. She's going to say that the barometer was made before friction matches, and she would be right. Just getting out of view here. Okay, I just slid the card over because I was starting to go out of view. Okay, so it's my turn, and I'm going to say that garbage bags were made after the Empire State Building but before Lord of the Rings, and I would be right. Back to Jen. Jen's going to say that the pull tab can was made after Sputnik, and she would be correct. Back to me. I am going to say that the can opener was made. When was the can opener made? I don't think it's that old. I'm going to say after the Empire State Building, but before the garbage bag. And I would be wrong. It was made a lot earlier than that. Okay, so I draw a new card, the bicycle. Slide these back. Jen's going to play her last card, the Celsius scale, and she's going to say it was invented before the barometer, and she would be wrong. So she draws the lightning rod. Back to me. I'm going to play the bicycle, And I'm going to say it is younger than the barometer. And I would be wrong again. Shows you how much I pay attention to history. So I draw asteroids. Jen's going to play the lightning rod, and she's going to say that it was made after the barometer but before the friction match. And she would be correct, and she would win the game. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.